Welcome everybody, it's Kristina Wolf here, and this is Energy Mastery, creating systems that support your best life. And today we have Raewyn Sangari with us today from the Shield Sisters initiative. And Raewyn has this really amazing journey that she came to be doing this work. And can you tell us a little bit more about it, Raewyn? I love the way you say it. It's really wonderful stuff.
Oh, definitely.
And a little bit of an aside, this is real life. I love how, you got a little baby and you're like, we got to get the baby to sleep. And everybody knows like that's how us moms have to do it. Just do what we can and still work around it and get our wisdom and our gifts out there. So like hats off to you. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, our number one thing that we always say in Shield Sisters is if it's not real life, then what is it? We're super big on not sugarcoating or curating the perfect life for the people who are our readers and everything and our clients, because that just gives so much pressure to yourself. So, the Shield Sisters Initiative is an online community that supports women in all aspects of their journey. We do a lot of support with business and mindset, but another thing that we really love to focus on, and the one thing that is my huge, big passion in life, is self-love and self-care. And so the story behind Shield Sisters Initiative is a bit of a long one. We have to rewind all the way back to when I was in high school. And my friends and I started something called the Warrior Queen Movement, which in turn became a blog, Be a Warrior Queen. And that movement really focused on making sure that you were not putting a boyfriend first. So if you had dreams and goals and you had things you wanted but he didn't want, or your friendships, we didn't let guys walk all over us, basically. And so we would always say, oh, you got to be a warrior queen, or write WQ on our wrist to remind ourselves when we would be in that turmoil relationship or that negative space. And I knew that I really wanted to turn that idea into something. And I also knew that I wanted to start a magazine someday. And so I realized I wanted to put two and two together and create a magazine for girls and women that showed them they could be themselves. They could be true to who they are. They could move in their own way. And so I started my journey through college with that, and with the idea that these principles that we had based our relationships on were something bigger. They could be applied to every aspect of your life. And that's when I began my self-love journey. I was always pretty confident in myself, so it really wasn't a huge self-discovery journey, but it was definitely something that needed a lot of attention, just like in everyone's lives. And so Be a Warrior Queen was a blog that kind of pitter-pattered along for a few years throughout college and the beginning of my marriage. And after I had my daughter is when I suddenly knew what my purpose was. My daughter is a year and a half old, so about a year and a half ago, I realized that I wanted to empower women to embrace self-love and to encourage other women to embrace self-love. So for me, self-love is really a community thing. It's not a journey that we take alone. While it does have to do with yourself, it's definitely something that you need a strong support system for. And from there, Shield Sisters Initiative kind of branched out to be a little broader than the Be a Warrior Queen movement. So we have a movement and we have an initiative. I know it's kind of crazy, but the main focus is taking care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself and being true to yourself, you can do everything else that it is that you want in life.
Yeah, and I really love how you combine, like you say, real life with your passions and running a business. So Can you tell us how you've blended all that together? I'm sure it's been a lot of trial and error, and of course you have to have some self-love in the middle of it because nobody's perfect, and I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to, I guess, appear a certain way or look good for the camera or, you know, whoever, the public. And the reality is there's a lot of unglamorous things that go into running a business or getting just your passion out there. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, I've always been pretty confident, but and I don't know how I've always portrayed this, but I've always portrayed this attitude like what you see is what you get, and this is real life, and I'm going to make mistakes. And I don't know if it's because I've always been really in tune with myself, or if I just don't have time to waste on trying to portray the perfect image. And so for me, the number one thing is that I know I like to see other people who are a hot mess like me, not because I feel like better about myself because they're a hot mess, but because I know that they're being authentic, because I know nowhere in life is it going to be perfect. And I know nowhere, not even in like celebrities' lives, are everything going smoothly, or there's always going to be a problem. This is what life gives you. I always joke I have a black cloud called Tut Tut that follows me around, and some things always happen to me, but they're never the worst case scenario. It's always the best case scenario, but it's still like something happened. And I think that mindset is something that a lot of people have to get into, that mindset. Well, this is life. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to be a hot mess sometimes. You're going to have all these emotions, and you need to face them, because when you face them and when you accept them and you work on them, that's when you're able to have more time and more space for the wonderful, fabulous things that life gives you. So with my business journey, I have had a lot of jobs because I'm just one of those driven individuals. But when I had my daughter, I was driven to stay home with her. But we live in Southern California. It's not cheap here. And so I started looking into ways of making my movement or my blog into something that I could make money from home with. And Megan, my co-founder, and I, and Allie, who is one of our co-founders, but she's no longer with the company, we all started working for a freelance agency, and we discovered we worked well together. And when we all left that agency together, not at the same time, we left at different times, but when we left, after a few months, we realized we had this passion to help other business women and other moms like ourselves to create this space where they can go to find support and guidance in starting a business or running a business, but also to have that safe place where you can talk about the struggles that you're going through in your own life, or to talk about your self-love journey. So we kind of put it all together. And that's what I love about Shield Sisters Initiative. Like, we do it even when we're scared. We do it afraid. We are all hot messes, and we try to put authenticity and being real in every single thing we do. We'll do Facebook Lives, and like my kid will be running around screaming in the background, or we did a webinar one time and she somehow found a beer bottle somewhere and was like carrying it around, and I'm in the background like, no, please put that down. Like, this is motherhood. This is what it's like when you work from home. But not only is it what it's like when you work from home, if you're working in an office and you have kids, or you have a dog that tears up the furniture, like, everyone has something. And so for us, we really like the mindset of being true to who you are. That's our number one thing. And Megan is our mindset coach. She's helped me a lot with mindset issues. And then I come in and I'm like, okay, well, you're working on your mindset. Now, are you working on taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself? Because making that time for yourself, even if it's what I like to call 2-minute check-ins, throughout the day. Even if it's something like that, you're still working on who you are and making yourself happy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you give, and when your cup is pouring out all over the place for everyone else, it's eventually going to be empty. We all know this. We all talk about self-care all the time, but no one really puts that into like companionship with self-love. And self-love is really the whole basis of it all.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to love who you are and accept who you are, then you're going to give yourself grace when you make mistakes. You're going to be real. You're going to admit that you're a hot mess or whatever it is. And you know what? If you miss an interview or you miss a phone call, you're not going to be beating yourself up or spending hours on end talking about what you could have done better. You're just going to do it. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to apologize and move forward. And it's really the most productive thing to have self-love. But people think that it's like this big, huge, scary thing that's got to take all of your time away from whatever it is that you're doing in your life. And it's not. It's a journey that you are constantly on.
Yeah, I love that you're, you brought up like so many really good points. I totally applaud how you're completely authentic, because I think that a lot of women in business and entrepreneurs are like, that's one of the things that paralyzes them from going forward with their goals and their dreams, is because they're worried about being not perfect. They're worried like they don't have all their stuff together. And I love that you're just basically like, do it even if you don't have all your stuff together, because that's real life, and it's also a journey and a process. And then, oh, well, you get a kid in the background with a beer bottle. That's kind of funny. Everybody has a moment like that. And, you're more relatable. And I think we do, especially in the online coaching industry, it's a lot about image and branding and whatnot. But the majority of us have this real life that's behind all of it. And when we get rid of that perfectionism, and like you say, have enough self-love to accept you're not perfect, that's really the beauty of it, really. And I love how you guys have a whole community of other women who are just keeping it real, basically. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. It's so important to me to surround myself with people who keep it real and who like don't try to push this image of how things should be or how I should be on me.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I think a lot of people, when they're looking for a coach or looking for guidance, they want the thing that looks the nicest. They want the thing that looks the most put together. But then as they start going through it, either through a coaching program or through a book, it's not going to work for them because they aren't feeling the realness of it. They're still reading this
to real
image.
Life. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like they'll look at something and someone who, I don't have examples and I really prefer to do community over competition and always building women up. But there are people out there who will portray this perfect life. Everything's white and clean and pristine. And people will start in their programs and they will miss that jump, because there's always that jump where you have to go through the messiness. You have to look at your flaws in order to accept them. You can't just say, I accept my flaws. Like, I accept all my flaws, and then be done with your flaws. You have to go through that messy part. You have to go through the tears and the emotion and the turmoil. And that's something
feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm inadequate. I'm not perfect. There's a lot of comparison and
you have to acknowledge it. And then once you acknowledge it, you can work on changing it. But until you acknowledge it, it's still just like, you're still not going to meet that ideal because you're not
being acknowledging yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. You're pushing everything under the rug, and it is a way to live life. A lot of people live their lives like that. But if you're passionate about chasing your dreams and about living your life to its fullest when you're carrying around all of that heaviness and those emotions, because when you sweep them away, you're still carrying them. I learned that when I was in college and I was in therapy, because I had spent a lot of time like not being mad at people. I thought being mad was a waste of time, which I still think it's kind of a waste of time. It's kind of silly to get angry about things that maybe don't matter. But when they do matter, when it is something serious, you have to give it that space. And I used to think that giving it that space, that emotional space, was going to bring me down and be negative. But by giving it that space and then saying, I'm not going to give you that space anymore, then it's truly able to disappear.
So instead of letting it keep floating up to the surface, you let it float up and go away. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like my thing was actually, I have an anxiety disorder, and I was having so many panic attacks just for random, like I would just be standing there and I'd start having a panic attack and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized it was because I wasn't feeling my emotions. And so by not feeling my emotions and facing them and giving them that space, they were finding space in my body in other places. So
and
they were causing me
one way or another, right?
Exactly, exactly. And so like I could be at like the park having a blast with my friends, and all of a sudden I can't breathe. And then I'm like, what's happening? There's nothing wrong. Nothing bad happened right now. Why am I panicking? Why can't I breathe? Why am I almost blacking out? And so I started seeing a therapist, and she helped me realize all of this. Then I actually use EFT, which is tapping. It's an inner, I don't know the exact definition of it.
Emotional freedom technique or whatnot.
Yeah, emotional freedom technique. Yeah. And yeah, you free up your emotions, and it's amazing what facing everything can actually do for you.
I just want to point out, like, I love that you are a perfect example. Sorry about the word perfect, but you're a perfect example to all these women out there that are like so worried that, what do I know? Or I'm a mess, so what can I teach anybody? You're a perfect example of, you don't have to clean up everything before you get out there and do your thing and bring your gifts out there. Like, you still have so much to give, and your mess is your message. You know, it's like, I love that phrase. It's like, it's perfect, because, you know, I think so many women in particular, or just entrepreneurs in general, they stall out at that stage of, well, I don't want to put myself out there till I'm more organized, or till I'm more perfect, or whatever it is. And it's really refreshing to see, like, hey, you're still doing it. You're doing it whether, you know, you've acknowledged your imperfections, and you're just all the way, you know, put it out there, and oh well, now it's not an issue, you know, and it's great. It's great. And you still are doing what your heart and soul really wants to get out there. That's really great.
Yeah, and the thing is when you do accept it and acknowledge it, and you not only just accept it and acknowledge it, if you tell other people, I'm not saying like go around telling everyone your flaws. You can, but you don't have to.
But if you like, accept yourself, they're more likely to accept you as
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, say I'm a person who's always late, which I am frequently late to things. If I tell someone like, okay, I set this appointment in my calendar, but I may be a little late because my life gets a little hectic and sometimes I don't plan my time perfectly, they aren't going to be sitting there with a watch going, oh my gosh, this person is 2 minutes late. They're going to say, oh, well, she did say sometimes her life gets a little hectic. I'll just check in and see if she's on her way.
And you've eliminated all the people who that's going to be an issue for. So, yeah.
Exactly. So there's always going to be someone who will receive what you have to say, and that everyone receives it differently. So maybe there's self-love coaches out there who people really respond well with. Maybe someone like is super into Danielle Laporte, or someone else is super into, I can't think of anyone's names right now, but like, not your story isn't going to resonate with everyone, but that's okay because it's going to resonate with someone. And so by being true to who you are and putting it out there, then people are going to trust you more, and they're going to feel that acceptance too.
Absolutely. Like, you know, not everyone is going to be for you. And at the same time, the people who you are for, you're like perfect for them because all of the other people who were putting up a nice glossy front, that wasn't something they could really receive properly, you know, or they're not going to get it, you know, they're not going to move through their own blocks with somebody who they can't relate to. So yeah, that's totally
Exactly.
yourself, just be yourself. And definitely, I know we could go like on forever about this. This is a really great topic. And you have such a refreshing take on it. And can you tell our listeners how they're going to get this sort of support? I know you have a Facebook group for the Shield Sisters Initiative. And I know you have a free gift for our listeners as well. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So the Shield Sisters Initiative has the Sanctuary on Facebook, and it's a free but private group. You do not have to sign up for our newsletter to be a member of the group, but you do need to be approved. And the only reason we do this is because we do talk about vulnerabilities in the group, and so we wanted it so that no one could see the posts. You could see who's in the group, but you can't see the posts. Mm-hmm. So you can search for it. You can request to join the Sanctuary. It's Shield Sister Sanctuary is the like username or URL handle or whatever. And we are there talking about real life. We're talking about mindset blocks. Megan and I do live videos every once in a while. We try to do live office hours too, so that if you have specific questions to ask us about running a business, self-love, mindset, blogging, any of those things, marketing, we are there to answer those questions. And we always like tell everyone ahead of time when we'll be live so that you can plan. But everyone in the group is so supportive of each other. It's amazing and it's refreshing. And we always tell everyone, this is the group for you if you felt like you don't fit in all those other groups. Maybe you feel like you fit in some of the groups, but there's too many people, or there's something about it that just doesn't seem right. Like, we are your sisterhood. We are your sisters, and we are going to support you as if you were our sister, because we really want to get back to this mindset of building women up, community over competition, collaboration. We have people in the group who literally do the exact same thing. They're in the exact same field, but they'll support each other. Or like, I think we have someone who sells one brand of, or who teaches on one brand of essential oils, and someone else who teaches on another brand of essential oils. But they'll work together because they know that the heart of this isn't, let me make more money, or let me be the best.
It's generosity of spirit. Yeah.
Exactly. And supporting each other. And so that's really our like one big humongous thing, is just supporting each other in everything. We do a lot of collaboration talks, and we do a lot to go with each other and just building each other up. And we're actually starting a podcast pretty soon. It's going to be focusing on all of this and bringing people to our listeners and our members to learn. And our favorite thing is that we are not the experts. We are right here in the trenches with you. We might be your coaches, but we are guiding you and telling you what works for us, or what practices we have researched. And I think that that realness too is something that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so what I want everyone here to do to start out, I want you to grab that freebie, that Love This Journal and Yourself, and it's 30 journal prompts for you to work on going through what it is that you need to accept about yourself so that you can start your self-love journey. And then jump on over into the group, talk to us about it. We'll give you tips. We'll give you support. We'll give you anything that you need. And it's just, once you start that journey, remember, you're always on this journey. So it's not just a one-time thing. It's not just these 30 days. The 30-day prompts are to guide you, and you can actually print them out and use them as many times as you want and continue. And like, journaling is a big thing for self-discovery and self-love. And I'm not a journaler. I don't journal on a regular basis. So if you don't have to be a regular journaler, that's such a funny word. But it just do it when it feels right. And that's really what we're all about.
Oh, that's so awesome, Raewyn. I am so glad that we had this talk. Everything you said has just really helped me keep it real for sure. And I know there's plenty of our listeners out there that are going to really, it releases that pressure for perfectionism and help us get past our own hang-ups and stop beating up on ourselves and just really let our own true self shine. So I love that. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'm hoping we'll see you in the Shield Sister Sanctuary. And thank you so much for your time. And we'll sign off for our listeners now. So take care.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for putting up with my sleeping baby and messy car.
I have a 5-year-old in the next room trying to come in the door, so we're good. All right, take care.